Yeehaw! It's your gaming pirate SBZPlays, and I'm back with another video. And today we're going to be talking about my first week impressions with the Nintendo Switch 2. Alright, so for those of you who don't really know, I just want to give a little bit of a background of how I got the Switch 2. So big shout out to our sponsor, Debbie Cook, who basically made this whole thing happen. I came back from my business trip and it was literally waiting for me at the house. So I was completely shocked and I'm so utterly grateful. Thank you so much, Debbie. I know I've told you on stream, but right now I just really want to give my gratitude just to you, and you are the sponsor for a lot of videos, like a lot of videos. So let's really get into the nitty gritty. I haven't done this in a long time, so you guys know how I like it. I like to split things up. So we're gonna split this up into sections and go from there. The 4 categories that I'm gonna do is the feel in handheld mode. The second category we're going to do is hardware and software compatibility. I know a lot of you are probably wondering about the backwards compatibility between Switch 1 devices, hardware and software. And we're also going to talk about the games that I have played on the Switch for a whole week. Literally, I've been playing this thing for an entire week, so we're going to get into that. All right, let's talk about the feel of the Switch 2, and I'm going to actually get it in my hand. This being the Switch 2, it actually feels really great in the hand. It really kind of feels like the regular Nintendo Switch, just with a bigger screen. The HDR screen definitely gives what it's supposed to give. Like, it really gives me PlayStation 4 vibes, but in a Nintendo Switch console or a handheld device. And I'm not talking about the PlayStation Portal where you have to be connected to the internet to even play this thing. No, I'm talking about like an actual PlayStation Pro device in your hand. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've been struggling with 20 frames or less. It really looks good on other games, and I definitely noticed the big difference. Now, the magnetic Joy-Cons are really a must-have when it comes to stability. Like, it's a really must-have. And my other Switch, it was like if you had too much pressure on the Joy-Cons, they would pop out or they wouldn't just stay in place. They were always sliding about, and I kind of felt nervous, like I had did something wrong to the Switch Joy-Cons or whatever. So mainly I played in dock mode. As a content creator or streamer, I'm always playing in dock mode anyway, but I mainly played in dock mode even when I wasn't streaming, just because I was afraid I was gonna mess with the durability of the Joy-Cons because they kept sliding out. So I've also tried the mouse mode. The feel of the mouse actually does feel really, really good in the hand. That is the category for the feel of it. I wanna give that category an 8.5 out of 10. I would like a little bit more grip support, but I know that that's something I can do with like a kill switch. Whenever they get those game pads that are third-party game pads that are compatible for the Switch 2, like I had with the Switch 1, whenever they get those together and ready to go, that'll be the first thing I get, just so I can get that extra grip, because these hands are kind of massive. All right, let's talk about hardware and software compatibility. I'm gonna start with the hardware. As far as the hardware goes, I've tried every single piece of device that I own to work with the Switch 2, and it works flawlessly with no issues, no gripes, no complaints. I think the only thing that does not work is, like I said, the gamepad. It does work when you connect it to the device, but I can't slide it in to the position that it's supposed to be in because the screen is 2 times bigger than what the Switch's screen was. We're kind of at a loss there, but other than that, everything else I can use. My case does not work for the Switch 2. My Legend of Zelda case doesn't work for the Switch 2. It only works on my regular Switch, so I ended up having to buy a Switch 2 case just so it would fit, because whenever I travel or do anything like that, I just want to be able to make sure that this is safe and secure. So hardware compatibility is definitely a 10 out of 10 because I haven't had any issues. Now let's talk about software compatibility. And I'm just gonna talk about from setup process all the way down. Now the setup process was dope and awesome because it gave me a complete music situation that I was jamming to. It kind of reminded me of the Me setup that used to be on the Wii. And I wish, Nintendo, if you're listening to me, I wish that that song would be on the regular home screen. Just, I feel like that's what we're needing whenever we get to the home screen, because there's no music. It's just the noise or the sound effects, which I would love to have some kind of music in there for the home screen or something like that. Kind of like how PlayStation does whenever you open up the home screen, you kind of hear that ambiance. And that's maybe just a Sony thing that I'm just trying to recreate, but just make that tweak. All right, so as far as transferring between my regular Switch to my Switch 2, the transfer process was really flawless. Like, I didn't have any issues. Literally, all I needed to do was just have my Switch 2 connected to a power source, and then have the Switch 1 connected to the power source, and just go from there. The transfer process was really simple. They downloaded all of the data. I didn't have any issues. Now, I had an issue going from my PlayStation 4 to my PlayStation 5. The transfer process didn't really take the way that it was supposed to, and then I thought it did, so I sold the PlayStation 4 and then realized that all my games transferred over, but the data didn't transfer over. So I pretty much had to start over on everything that I owned on the PlayStation 5. I did not have to do that for the Switch 2 because we were in the middle of playing Batman, and we were able to finish Batman on the Switch 2. So that worked out. All right, now let's talk about the games that I have played on the Switch 2. And we're gonna start with Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World, I mean, it's Mario Kart. I mean, it's gonna work regardless. It's a Nintendo flagship. I do find myself trying to get on the grind so I can get the characters or whatever, but I mean, it works. Now, the only thing that I am disappointed in is the free roam. I feel like there should be a whole lot more that you can do in free roam, but there's not that much that you can do. But it kind of reminds me of the Need for Speed. Whenever you get to certain sections, you can, like, you know, race against the clock or do something like that. But other than that, I'm not getting any vibes that makes me want to stay in that mode. Other than that, I mean, you can play online, you can play regularly. I haven't tried knockout mode, but I think knockout mode might be my favorite because I'm a Burnout fan, and Knockout and Burnout was amazing. So if they have brought that into the Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart World, that's phenomenal. All right, next up, let's go ahead and get into my favorite port of all time, Dynasty Warriors. Yes, I tried Dynasty Warriors on the Nintendo Switch 2, and when I tell you I am not getting the dull feel that I used to get whenever I played it on the Switch. The only reason I played it on the Switch from the PlayStation 5 was because I just like Dynasty Warriors, and then I would suffer through some of the pixelation or some of the frames that were just really low and could have been a whole lot better just because I just loved the game. So now that I'm able to play Dynasty Warriors on a beefed up system and it runs smoothly with no issues, you can definitely see the frame rate boost. They're moving smoother than ever before. It's just phenomenal. So for that port, I'm actually going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, it's Dynasty Warriors. What can you do? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely 9.5 for that port. All right, let's also talk about Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. So Violet and Scarlet runs chef's kiss. I have no gripes or complain about Pokemon Violet or Scarlet. I do want to try Pokemon Legends Arceus to see if I get that same vibe. But for Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, it's a major update from the issues I was having in Switch 1. So I might even start another campaign. I'm not done with my campaign in Scarlet. I finished Violet, so I might just redo my campaign in Scarlet, so that way I can continue forward and do whatever I need to do just to make this thing beefed up. Arkham Asylum. I talked a little bit about it earlier, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But yes, there were a whole lot of glitches that I was facing with Arkham Asylum. I feel like there could be a little bit more beefed up, but I think that port was specifically made for the Switch and not necessarily for the Switch 2. And so that's probably why I was getting some glitches. If you guys aren't getting any glitches, let me know in the comment section, but I was getting glitches on my last stream. So hopefully I don't get that in Arkham City or Arkham Knight, but I know for that one, seeing as how that's an older game, I was getting that. So for that port, I'm actually gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I'm actually playing Freedom Cry again on the Switch 2, and I just could not put it down. Could not put it down. It was one of those games that I was just like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Just to be able to be back into that world and free the slaves. Big shout out to whoever created this. Ubisoft, you're goated for just that expansion pack alone, just to be able to be a black assassin and be a part of the Creed, but also free the slaves. It's just phenomenal. I really wish that there was a part 2 to that, but I know we probably won't get another one of those Assassin's Creed, but that one was just phenomenal and beautiful. So I'm gonna give that port 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. All right, my last category, my final conclusions. My final conclusions as my first impressions, this is a beast. It's amazing, it's awesome. I have no complaints. I'm extremely grateful that it was given to me. Big shout out to our sponsor again. But if you are using your own funds, should you get it now or should you wait? I think you should wait. Not saying that it's not great at launch, but at the same time, I would wait until there would be more launch titles or more titles for the Switch 2 to make it a valuable purchase. Yes, even though it's $450, and then you put Mario Kart World in there, probably Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky. Those are the 3 that were at launch, and then plus a couple of upgradable remakes. It's just not enough, in my opinion, to go out and put down $450. Plus, I think Cyberpunk is $60, No Man's Sky is $50, Mario Kart by itself is $80. And to put that kind of money into it just for you to use at your leisure, for me, it's part of my career. So it does make the means valuable for the purchase. But I mean, just for the normal person, I don't see why you can't wait for like a sale or like a Black Friday thing. I mean, it's just around the corner. Like, shoot, in October, Pokemon Legends ZA is supposed to come out, so that would be another reason why you could get the Switch 2, but they also did make it for the Switch 1, so it's not giving any exclusivity to why you can just get this console right at launch. So, with that being said, let me know what you think about my 1 week review for the Switch 2. Like I said, I have no complaints. I really love the system and I love playing on it. Put down in the comment section if you have one or if you're going to get one, and also like and subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one. Yeehaw.